Now, let me introduce you to Dr. Elza Nikoleishvili, MD, PhD. She has 12 years experience as pediatrician, head of pharmacy department at the University of Georgia. Now, professor, lecturer of pharmaceutical care and pharmacotherapy, head of pharmacy bachelor and master programs, creator of the continuous study workshop course in pharmacovigilance and very active participant in processes of pharmacovigilance development in Georgia. Dr. Elza will present her conference entitled Drug Safety, Pharmacovigilance Involvement in Academy. We invite you to actively participate during this presentation. If you have any questions, please ask them in the chat on the left. We'll be responded to as many as we can during the allotted time. The rest of the questions will be answered and published in our Q&A section within Patient Safety Day on our webpage, isoponline.org. Without further preamble, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Elza.
Can I start? Hello, everyone. Hello, dear colleagues. It is a great honor to join this meeting, the World Patient Safety Day. I would like to present drug safety involvement in academia. Oh, sorry, but I cannot move the slides. Okay. Okay, as you can see, key points of my presentation: global healthcare, global education, the importance of pharmacovigilance, the partners of developing pharmacovigilance, and pharmacovigilance involvement in academia, and academia's unique role in healthcare system. Nowadays, when we are talking about global education and global health, the universities must be in a forefront. We have several global challenges. Among them, most important is improving healthcare. University study programs in health sciences must create professionals with deep knowledge, practical and clinical skills based on moral and ethical principles. I would like to mention the words "do not harm" is red line on my presentation. Why is it important to develop pharmacovigilance? There are several concerns, and about them, very important is humanitarian concerns, because we treat, we relieve pain, we help overcome disabilities, we prevent, protect our patients. We know we have very big positive results of medication of many acute and chronic diseases, but also adverse drug reactions cause serious health problems. And one big concern also is economic burden to society of drug-related problems, drug-related morbidity and mortality. We should promote rational use of medicine and others. We see very close link between clinical pharmacy and pharmacovigilance. Why? Because a meaningful goal of clinical pharmacy is to provide rational pharmacotherapy, and we know rational pharmacotherapy means treat our patient with suitable drugs, effective drugs, cost-effective drugs, and also very important part is treat our patients with safe drugs. That's why this link between pharmacovigilance and clinical pharmacy is so deep and so close. And also one big concern is and reason is due to limitations of the clinical trials, and we can see below this why it is so important. Everyone heard about this big tragedy, thalidomide tragedy. This is classical example to teach students what never to do, how do not violate ethical, moral, and professional principles. The moral responsibility for the thalidomide tragedy still haunts us to this day. Also, we need to teach future generation do not harm. Why pharmacovigilance is needed? Because we see and we know how is difference between clinical trials and clinical practice. Number of participants, for example, in clinical trials, maybe 20-50 healthy volunteers or around 4,000 patients to determine safety and dosage recommendations. And in real life, in clinical practice, we teach the thousands and million patients. Duration of clinical trials long weeks maybe, but in real life, we treat our patients during years. A very important part is population. We know in clinical trials, pregnant children and aged people are excluded, and we know subjective and objective reasons for that. But in clinical practice, we treat all of them. Also, comorbidities, diseases, and medication are avoided in clinical trials, but in real life, we have especially aged people, for example, and people with different disabilities. We have polypharmacy cases, many cases, and in real life they present. Dosage also in clinical trials, dosage are fixed, but in real life we try to modify dosage and dosage regimen when we are provide pharmacotherapy. So there are some big differences. It's why we need after post-marketing study of medicines. Also, I would mention several words about medical errors. By definition, we know medical errors cause physical, emotional, and financial harm to patients. And based on global experience, we know reasons why it's happened, because of lack of professional practice, happened with medical procedures, with the quality of medical products, a lack of communication. Today, it's also a very big problem because we have lack of communication with patients and doctors, with physicians and caregivers, health insurance company specialists, etc. With inaccuracies in drug labeling, prescription errors, distribution errors, administration errors. As you can see, this part of medical errors with close has a close link with medications. Pediatric drug safety is very important part. For me, for example, as a pediatrician, very important to receive updated evidence-based data regarding medication of newborn and children. We know how it's problematic and impossible to involve this special population in clinical trials. only up to 25% of medicines used in pediatric practice are FDA and European agencies approved. It means that the rest of medication, around 75% we use in the pediatric population, does not meet safety and efficacy standards. That's why so important is to develop post-marketing study. I mentioned the adverse drug reactions are the big economic burden. Of course, also based on global experience, meta-analysis and data, we have statistical information about 57% of cases of hospitalization come from adverse drug reactions. The health status of 5% of patients is impaired due to adverse drug reactions. Deaths due to adverse drug reactions are ranked in fees. The average cost of treating one adverse reaction is estimated around 2,000 euros, and the cost of treating adverse drug reactions as a whole is estimated at around 79 billion euros. How to reduce economic burden is a big question for all of development and developed countries, and also based on big global experience, we know it's possible by activating public health policy, by increasing education in pharmacovigilance, by reducing medical errors, by reducing the ADRs, of course, by increasing the safety of drug treatment, by the development of clinical pharmacy I mentioned, by the development of hospital pharmacy, and by the development of the computer network in the hospitals. I prepared this slide and I want to show how we see partners in who are our partners in developing pharmacovigilance. Of course, important role play clinical care and delivery system, manufacturers, pharmacy as well. Our patients should be very active involved in these development processes. Government, national agencies play very important role, and social media, TV for our patients' education. And we are here in academia, at the universities, because we should educate, train and should provide some research projects based on education in pharmacovigilance. I would like to show you these PV competencies from WHO for future healthcare professionals. We know this new direction. It is a very important direction to provide competency-based teaching. Competency-based education models are becoming more dominant than traditional content-driven and teacher-centered learning methods in university teaching. In the context of pharmacotherapy and clinical pharmacology, competencies in PV are the timely recognition, the prevention, and management of adverse drug reactions. I want to show you this WHO PV core curriculum for university teaching competencies and key aspects of PV for future healthcare professionals on these three levels: master level, bachelor level, and first year level at the universities. For master level, it's very important that students will be able to anticipate on potential adverse drug reactions when prescribing or designing a pharmacotherapeutic plan for an individual patient. Students will be able to recognize and interpret adverse drug reactions occurring in real-life patients. And also, students will be able to report adverse drug reactions to the locally recognized authorities. Of course, master levels is more high levels, a bachelor level, but also very important is because we have many study programs on bachelor level in health sciences. For example, based on these competencies and key aspects of PV, on bachelor level, the students will be able to identify adverse drug reactions in authentic description or examples of patients' cases, and also be able to suggest pharmacotherapeutic interventions for relatively simple cases of adverse drug reactions. When we are talking about health science study programs, of course, we mean MD program, pharmacy, nurse, healthcare management, public health study program as well. And very important is also first year students should be and must be able to know, students should know concept of pharmacovigilance, knows to concept of pharmacovigilance, and it will be able to describe the importance of preventing, recognizing, managing, and reporting adverse drug reactions. That's why we see academia's unique role in the healthcare system. We are agree WHO's this PV curriculum, and we try to promote this curriculum in our study programs. Partnership between academia and the national agencies, hospitals, and social media could facilitate prioritization of important issues on drug safety, facilitate the development of a network of academic centers of excellence in pharmacoepidemiology and pharmacovigilance to discuss drug safety and risk management issues, encourage the development and testing of methodologic innovations of drug safety, and promote cooperation and education healthcare professionals and patients. And finally, also I would like to announce the WHO words. We may not be able to prevent this from disease, but medication-induced death is unacceptable. And this statue, what you see, for example, it was dedicated in London in 2005 to the children of the thalidomide tragedy, and this second one in 2012, the pharmaceutical company Grünenthal dedicated a bronze statue to the children of thalidomide tragedy is in Stolberg. You know, that's why I mentioned this moral responsibility for the thalidomide tragedy still haunts us today. That's why we should do our best to teach to future generation do not harm. This is my references. It was last slide. Thank you very much for your attention.
Dr. Elza, thank you so much for your presentation about this important topic. We have some questions from our team. Our first question is, one of the most important cases in relation to pharmacovigilance activities, which is the thalidomide tragedy that occurred in 1960s. But in 2018, there was a very similar situation with valproic acid. From the point of view of academia, what do you think we should implement so that these cases continue to happen?
Yes, thank you for this key question. From 1960 till 2018, it's not so big period if think globally. Drug safety is its infancy, and it's in infancy in many, not only development, also developed countries. The problem still be very actual and global. That's why we must solve it together under global education and under global health care. Regarding particular case, yes, so from valproic acid in the features of WHO's list of essential medicines, it's used in many more than 100 countries. Seen from 1980, they announced the data regarding of risk of malformation and also impact of neurological system, risk of developed autism or learning difficulties, and also FDA warned in 2013 that valproic acid should not be taken during pregnancy. That's why, from the point of view of academia, we are sure, and we have evidence for that. We should include pharmacovigilance and pharmacoepidemiology also as an independent subject in our study program in medicine, pharmacy, nurse, healthcare management, and public health as well. Also, we should participate, join research projects with hospitals, with manufacturers. We should include social media, TV, of course, patient education in this field is very important part.
Great. Thank you for your question, for your answer. In your experience, do you see interest from students and teachers to learn about this topic, or you have seen any kind of limitation in the process?
Thank you for questions. You know, when the results of like the study about barriers of development pharmacovigilance was provided also in my university, at the University of Georgia. There was conducted the bachelor qualification thesis, and where identified the lack of knowledge in pharmacovigilance among students, pharmacists, and physicians as well. Medical and pharmacy students may recognize the importance of ADRs reporting and express the intention to report ADRs, but they are insufficiently prepared on handle of adverse drug reactions. That is big reason why we try to include pharmacovigilance and that study subject in our curriculum. And of course, our students and pharmacists, nurses, and physicians as well, they are studying to learn more and to get deep knowledge in this field.
Okay, great.
Yes, I think it will be very good start for developing this pharmacovigilance in academia.
Thank you, Dr. Elza. The next question is, what strategies do you think can be implemented from government entities and regulatory agencies to promote the training of students in pharmacovigilance?
Okay, thank you. This question, it's a very good question because we, under the global experience, we know without government and regulatory agencies, entities, it is impossible to develop pharmacovigilance. According to the global experience also, the government should support regulatory agency activities, must develop regulatory framework or specific solutions to include the professional association to create training course, make some projects to use the social media and TV for population education. Finally, to take consideration also WHO recommendation for university teaching of PV. I mean, based on competency and the key aspects of PV for future healthcare professionals. It's very important part of. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Elza, we have another question. How you promote pharmacovigilance at your university?
Thank you for this question. In 2016, pharmacy department at the University of Georgia created new master program in pharmacy and got national accreditation. This curriculum was first in Georgian academic area in which was included pharmacovigilance and pharmacoepidemiology as independent subjects. We are agree this WHO PV curriculum based on competencies and the key aspects on pharmacovigilance, and we try our best to promote this direction in our study programs and in our country as well.
Thank you so much again for this interesting presentation.
I wish success with your conference. Thank you very much for this possibility and for this opportunity to participate so nice and so very important conference.